Day 73 of the war has seen another standoff between the United States and Iran. President Trump and the Americans presented their 14-point proposals via Pakistan to Iran. Ghalibaf, who seems to be in charge of the negotiating process, replied to the American proposals yesterday, and last night President Trump said that the reply was totally unacceptable. So here we are, the war is in abeyance now, but it is still on. It's still a war, and that's bad for everybody in the world economy. The only winners from this war remain Russia and Israel. Russia because it's able to sell its oil, sanctioned oil, above the old price, and Israel because it's able to carry on its war in Lebanon to try to completely demolish Hezbollah, and Hezbollah is trying to prevent it from taking its territory in southern Lebanon. And overnight there were quite big strikes on Nabatir and Saksakhtir, which are significant in terms of Israel's intentions with the rest of Lebanon. But of course, most of the attention, as always, is on the Strait of Hormuz. And here there's some quite interesting things been happening in the last 24 to 36 hours. One thing about the Strait of Hormuz that we must realise is the situation that Qatar is in. Most of Qatar's energy is created by liquefied natural gas. They need that for their economy. They need to export that. But LNG can't flow through pipes, it has to go by tanker. And those tankers can only get away from Qatar by going through the Strait of Hormuz. They have no other way out. And this war has been a disaster for Qatar in economic terms so far because of the complete blockage on LNG exports. But yesterday, at least one tanker with its transponders turned on and off, the Qatari, seems to have transited the Strait of Hormuz, and today has been picked up on its way to the port of Qazm in Pakistan, where their LNG terminal is. So it's clear that the Qataris, the Iranians and the Pakistanis have agreed to get this tanker out so that LNG can go to Pakistan, which really needs it because of all the economies of Asia that are suffering from this war. The Pakistani economy is suffering most. And that's not the only one. There's another tanker called the Mizim, and the Mizim, at the time of recording, seems to have been about here. And so the Mizim looks as if it's also on course to get out. And there are reports of two others. So the indications are that 4 LNG tankers are on their way from Qatar to Pakistan to relieve the pressure on Qatar, but also to relieve the energy crisis in Pakistan. Now, one of the reasons why that is important is because of the role played by this man, General Munir. General Munir, who has a questionable political record, but is nevertheless a very effective operator in terms of international diplomacy. Munir is somebody that Trump likes, he understands them. And Munir has been talking very meaningfully to the IRGC, to the Revolutionary Guard Corps, because they understand him, they trust him. And this man is able to speak to both sides rather effectively. And so it is evident that these LNG tankers that are going out of the Gulf to Pakistan are partly a reward for the role that Pakistan and Munir has played in the mediation leading up at least to this point. And that raises something else which is interesting, because if it works for Pakistan, it will work for other countries as well. And the idea of side deals, countries doing a deal with Iran to get their stuff out of the Gulf, is probably quite attractive to them. Now, all of that adds to the legitimacy of what the Iranians are doing in the Gulf. What the Iranians are doing in the Strait of Hormuz and across the Gulf is completely illegal. But the more side deals that they do, the more legal it may come to seem. And there's a big tendency there for them to try to develop more and more side deals exactly for that purpose, which is a big problem for President Trump, because he's due on Wednesday to go to Beijing for this long-awaited summit with Xi Jinping. The summit's already been delayed once, and Trump clearly wanted to go to the summit originally with the war behind him and a victory to celebrate, to talk about. Well, he's not going to do that. He will go to Beijing on Wednesday with this war hanging around his neck like a limpet. And the problem is, if he wants to strong-arm his way into Xi Jinping's thinking, the way he seemed to try to do when they last met, he'll find that this time he's in a much weaker position.